The Women of Ill Repute, with your hosts, Wendy Mesley and Maureen Holloway.
Maureen, I realize I've never really asked you this, a really big question. Have you ever had any work done?
Oh my God, we've had countless renovations, and then we re-landscaped the backyard last year. It was mud and dust for months, so yeah, boy, have I ever.
No, that's not what I mean.
I know it's not what you mean. I'm just stalling. Yes, in the interest of full disclosure, I had a tummy tuck after Ronan, after my second baby, and I've had breast reconstruction after losing one in the war with cancer, which I won.
I won that one too, and I lost bits of boobs, whatever. So I guess they would be called...
I call them war injuries, and that's very tenacious of you to hang on to your breast there. Good for you, Wendy.
Well, it's good we're on radio. I'm not flashing anybody, but anyway. So what about Botox? Have you had Botox?
Yes, I've had Botox. I started getting Botox 20 years ago because nothing says beautiful like a face full of poison.
Yeah, well, it's amazing what we do. Look, I realize I look like a wooden puppy from like the jaw down. I have this jaw line that goes up and down.
You mean a wooden puppet?
Yeah, but my forehead is unbelievable. Like there's not a single line. It's freakish how flat it is.
Yeah. And listen, I got to admit, getting older is a drag, mostly for me because certain doors start closing. And I got to say, I suppose letting my hair grow in gray or white is a bit of a flag these days. A white flag.
I think it looks great, but maybe a white, like as in I surrender white flag?
As in I surrender, yes. You and I both agree that La Faire La Flamme was probably not about her beautiful silver hair, but just an out-and-out power struggle.
Yeah, but you know what? I think she might have won in the end.
Yeah, I guess if there were any winners.
Well, I guess some women deal with age a lot better than others. So there's the people who are all going to be on our podcast in the future. Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin.
Yes. Helen Mirren is always has been beautiful.
Elon Musk's mother. I have no idea what she has to say, but she's gorgeous.
She's gorgeous. He doesn't take after her. Dolly Parton, our dream girl.
Madonna.
You know, I don't think Madonna's aging well, and I don't think it's a physical thing. I think her personality isn't aging well. Do you know what I mean?
Well, her husband said it was like curling up to a piece of gristle, or at least that's what he's alleged to have said.
Her ex-husband, we should point out.
Sharon Stone, we like her.
You and I both aspire to Sharon Stone, but listen, these are women our age. They're middle-aged. They're not old.
Well, if I'm middle-aged, that means I get to live to, 120?
Absolutely. Well, there is one woman I know who is doing so well. She's at the top of her game. She really is the busiest woman in show business. Marilyn Denis. Marilyn Denis is the host of the, surprisingly, Marilyn Denis Show, which, of course, is seen across the country.
And she does that show. She's the host of Marilyn Denis and Jamar, which is Toronto's top-rated morning radio show. You've been there.
I'll admit that now. It is Toronto's top-rated morning show.
Anyway, she's been there since 86, and she works for Bell, which is kind of where Lisa LaFlamme
worked.
We know that you can't go there. You can't shit on your boss. So there's so much else to talk about.
Yeah, but she is also personally, she's a mother. She's a grandmother. She's also, I guess you could call her a bride because she married her high school prom date 4.5 years ago. She's also a dear friend of mine, and because she's a dear friend, she was the first guest to say yes to this podcast way back when.
Yeah, well, we did this interview ages ago, and we were going to save it and run it for right after Labor Day. And then we found out, who would believe that broadcasting veterans as us would have a technical problem? But we had a technical problem, so we're doing it again.
We did. And then a whole lot of things happened in the world, particularly in the broadcast world, as you mentioned. And Marilyn graciously agreed to come back and give it another go. And so we are so happy to welcome her back because we have so much to talk about.
It was my fault, by the way, in that last interview, which was brilliant, by the way.
Well, I mean, broadcasters' children go barefoot. Isn't that what they say?
That's what they say. It's so good to be with you both again. I mean, if this is the only time I get to see you, I'll take it.
Yeah, I know. Well, as we said, you've started another season of the Marilyn Denis television show. And geez, I don't know, you're coming on 34 years on radio?
Is it 34 or 35?
At CHUM-FM.
86? Do the math. Well, you know what I'm going to say to you? Don't ask a broadcaster on the fly to do a math equation because it's always wrong.
It is so true.
Roger Ashby was really good at that. He knew his numbers like that. One time he said to me, okay, here's a phone number, add up all the phone numbers. And then if your phone number adds up to the number that Marilyn's about to say, you're going to win a prize. I'm like, I can't do that fast.
Seems needlessly complicated, doesn't it?
No, it's too much, but it's so good to be with you. And season 13 of the Marilyn Denis Show is underway now. We've got an audience. We've had an audience still wearing masks since I'd say mid-July. We have guests that come in now. We actually get to do things in front of a live audience. And what a difference 2 years makes.
Yeah, I know. It's a whole new world.
Yeah, it was very quiet for the first year. I came back to the studio for both shows, but particularly for TV last August 23rd. This is like last year. And it was nobody in except everyone was remote. And now everyone's back in again, carefully, but back in. And this is what it's all about. It's the connection. And I love the connection.
Yeah. I used to work for the National and I just talked to this camera and you'd always try and imagine there were people there, but it does make like having that connection, Maureen, it's real.
Marilyn, take us through your day. Like, what did you do today? Because you are doing both shows. You're doing the radio and television. So you started at what time?
I got up at 3.
Jesus.
I watched a couple of newscasts. I had a cup of coffee. I got to work for 5:15 because I have to wake up and I need to think, it's just, I can't remember the days we used to roll in after a late night. Those days are gone. And then I did the morning show with Jamar on CHUM. And then I come and do hair and makeup between, let's say 9:15 and 10:15. I get mic'd up at 10:15 and we start the show. Today's show was Thanksgiving. And it was about how to carve a turkey, how to cook a turkey, how to be safe with a turkey. We had cocktails. So I've had a couple of shots of something. I had a martini today on the show, just a couple of sips. But as Maureen knows, I'm a light drinker. And then I just finished a meeting, wrapped that up around noon. Sometimes it's 12:30, but today was at noon. And then I have a look ahead meeting about what's happening in the next 4 to 6, sometimes 8 weeks on the Marilyn Denis Show. And then I have a very important podcast to do with my friends.
Yes, us.
I just think it's amazing. Amazing. And my favorite question to Maureen was always, because she did a morning show forever, was how on earth did you how do you get up? I'm sorry, you guys find this really tiresome, but I can't get over you getting up at 3 a.m. Do you have supper at 2 p.m?
No, it's so funny you say that, Wendy, because the other day, my girlfriend, who I've not seen in a long time, you know, this is like the year of reunions. And my girlfriend said, I really want to see you. When can we get together? And I said, well, I can do dinner at 4:30. And it worked out beautifully because I was home by 7. And at 7:30, I was showered and into bed I went. And it's easy for me to fall asleep fast.
Yeah, you live in a different time zone.
So it's just like a time zone thing. You just tell yourself you're in Europe or something.
You do. And, it's hard in the summer when you hear everybody outside having fun, the kids playing basketball, you feel like you're being grounded and stuff. But then the winter comes, and I don't know if you felt this way, Maureen, but I felt like, okay, it's snowing outside. There's nothing to do out there. It's okay to be at home and go to bed early. That's how I feel about it.
But we love home. We've talked about this. We love home. Home is a wonderful place. It's a refuge, and we love to make our homes beautiful, and we love to spend time there. So I think that helps a lot when you're living in an alternate universe, which you still are.
Yeah, that's true. And I will say that I say goodbye to my bed in the morning. I'll see you soon. I love you so much. You don't even know.
So that's it? That's your bad habit is sleeping? What about the sex and drugs and rock and roll and all that,
Oh, well, the sex is good because, there's a man in my life. But if you interviewed me 5 years ago, I would say it's the Sahara out there.
Yeah. I remember Marilyn telling me at lunch, you gotta use it or lose it. I have never forgotten that. And so I'm glad you're using it. So tell Wendy how you met Jim, because it's such a great story and I never get tired of hearing it.
Oh, well, you're sweet. Okay. So Jim and I go back to grade 9 when he moved in to my neighborhood in Little Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, our little neighborhood in Pittsburgh. And his dad was a salesperson. And so this new family moved in and they were part of the neighborhood. So he joined the gang in the neighborhood and we used to play football. We used to do all sorts of stuff together. Just a great group of kids. And we got to know each other through that and always were friends. I had a crush on him, but he had a crush on my girlfriend, Lisa. She was more developed than I was. I'll just put it at that. Maybe it was the knee highs and the saddle shoes that put him off. But we had fun together and I always had a little crush on him. And I realized, we're just going to be friends. Okay, whatever. And then one day he moved away. And of course, being a real guy and being, how old are you? 16? Didn't tell anybody because he wasn't on the bus. So time goes by. The next year I get a call the following January, and it's Jim. He's calling me from Nashville saying, is anyone taking you to the prom? And I said, no. And he said, I'd like to take you to the prom. I said, yeah, okay. Because I thought, I don't have a boyfriend. And, he's my friend and there will be no drama. So he came to take me to the prom in April of 1975. And then we had a great weekend and he got to see all his friends. We had so much fun. And then we put him on a plane and off he went back to Nashville. And then we wrote a little bit to one another and then nothing. When I look back in my high school years, I thought I had fun. And he was part of that group of friends that I had fun with. So 42 years later, my then floor director, Kathy Attitui, has been with me since the City Line days, always checks Facebook messages. And she said she'll always forward something from people that I might know or think that they know me or whatever. So she sent this message and I went, oh my gosh, that's Jim. I love him. I'll get back to him. So a couple of days later, I emailed him and we went back and forth and it was great to reunite and that way. And then eventually, he asked me, hey, do you want to get together? He lives in Seattle. He said, hey, listen, do you want to get together for lunch or dinner? I will be in Chicago and that's only a quick flight for you. Are you interested in meeting up? And, of course I said, well, okay, of course I am.
40 years later, you still had a crush. Aw.
Yeah. Those feelings, right? And Maureen knows a lot about this. But anyway.
Well, I saw you a few days before you were going to go to Chicago. We had dinner and you were like a kid. You were like, I'm going to get my hair done and I'm going to wear this. Do you think I should wear this? Or I think I'm going to wear that, but I don't want to look like I'm trying. But of course I'm trying, but I don't want to look like I'm trying too hard.
That's right. Hilarious. So, you got to present well, right? Didn't eat anything for like 3 days. I didn't want any problems, gas, bloating, nothing. I get my hair and makeup team to do my hair and makeup that morning. I am the most gorgeous piece of whatever going on a Porter flight to Chicago. I mean, I'm the most well-dressed. I should be up front. I look so good. I get off the plane. I don't want to move my hair or anything like that. I get to the hotel and I watch TV just sitting there and I have broth for lunch.
A big bowl of steam.
Because I don't want the bloating, right? So anyway, he is at a medical conference, and he says to me, well, we should meet for dinner at such and such a time. And then he says sweetly, because he's a sweet guy, are you as nervous as I am? And I said, yes, I am. I said, I am, but we'll get together. They said, long story short, I'm in this hotel and I come down the elevator. It is the longest ride down the elevator. And the lobby, for some reason, was empty. I don't know why, because it's a very busy place, Chicago. And here he is pacing back and forth. And there he was. And I went up like I usually do. And I go, hi, I'm Marilyn Denis. Jim Hellman. And we hugged each other and he goes, how about a drink? I said, I'd love a drink. Okay. And then we went to the bar and started talking, had a great dinner, just had a great evening. We said goodbye. We came back the next day, had brunch, and I had to go give another talk or whatever. And I went back home and didn't know what to think. And I thought, you know what? As Joe Rich, my therapist, would say, and it always says, remember, you have a good life. Whether this works out or not, you have a good life. Because Maureen, life was good. Like there was no drama. Life is good. Life is good. So it's much better now. So a week later, he called me and he said, listen, I would love to see you again. What are my chances of meeting in another city? And I said, they're looking really good. And that's when we cemented the relationship. Do you want to know what I wore, though? Do you want to know what I wore, Maureen? I wore leather pants and a nice black top with sheer sleeves and some really fabulous high heels. There you have it.
Yeah, there you have it.
But he didn't message you for a whole week.
I know.
Oh, my God. You must have been going crazy. I would have been going, oh, he didn't like my broth breath. But
no, but he did say to me before he left, Wendy, he said, I'll be in touch with you in a week. I'll call you on such and such a day. And he said, I think it was such and such a day at a certain time because he's a doctor. So he's got lots of thinking to do. And so we are together and happy. And he moved in with me October of 2019. And I want to say something else. This is how much I love him. Where do you think I was Thanksgiving of 2019? Was I waiting for him at my house to welcome him? No, I was at a Steelers game in Pittsburgh because I always have the Steelers game with my girlfriends from high school. And sorry, you move by yourself. I'll be home on the Monday. And that's how it is. It's a great relationship. We're very lucky.
You know what, Mary? I've got a few friends our age who have either been widowed or divorced, and most of them have found love again.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I know. So it's not absolutely out of the question. However, I've had a couple of them say they just can't deal with the anxiety. Is he going to call me back? Or the sexual anxiety? Just the drama of it. Like, much as they might want to be with somebody, is it worth putting yourself through those hoops at this point in our lives?
Well, one thing that I thought about that was a comfort to me is that I knew this kid when we were kids. And sometimes when that happens, you look at that person as like, okay, we're going to go play football now, or are we going to go outside play? Like that kind of innocence. And at the same time, I thought, well, I'm established. This is my life. I'm not going to adopt things that you like to do and pretend I like them too. So I'm going to give you the facts. And that, when I thought of it in those terms, especially the latter part, is that I thought, you know what? This is who I am. This is what I do. This is what time I go to work. This is my family, whatever. And there's nothing else that's going to change it. I'm established. And I think when you tell the truth like that, I think, and they say they get it and they act as if they get it, you can see it in actions more than words, then the anxiety starts peeling away. You know, I mean, we don't have a long runway, let's face it. But at the same time, we have more knowledge. So you're not going to turn into, unless you're heartbroken, because we all turn into 17-year-old girls. But if you're really honest with this person, without saying these are the rules and regulations, just like, this is who I am. And no, I don't like skiing. Thank you very much. And, you know, I don't do that. I'm not an athlete. You know, that kind of stuff. When you have those great dinner conversations or walks or whatever, I feel like I haven't sold him something that is not real.
I think that's really important. Really, really important. Like my husband and I, when we started out, he pretended that he likes windsurfing, which is my great love. And then finally he said, I freaking hate windsurfing. And I was able to say, well, I don't like going to concerts. It's great for 20 minutes. And then it's really boring. You go. And finally, like there's this honesty that has descended. Not that it's all bliss, but yeah, it is about being real. I think it's important.
Yeah. I mean, I camped, I horseback ride. I went, I hate this, but I love to do what I do now. And there's other things that I like to do too. But it's like, you know, I thought about in the past, what are the things that I did incorrectly that I could have corrected? Because I don't know, we just aren't sure of ourselves at the time. And not that I'm not insecure, because I do get insecure. There's no doubt about it. But I thought, I just want this to work. And if it doesn't work, I know that I gave it my best shot. And also you do talk about past relationships, about what didn't work for you in that relationship. I think sometimes they go, you should never bring up the ex-boyfriend. Well, yeah, I'm going to, because
we're old. There were other men in our lives.
Didn't save it for you, baby.
I would be worried if you didn't have somebody. Yeah, that's right. And I think it's okay to do that. But I also know that I had a lot of time between relationships and I was very happy, as you know, Maureen, like really, I'm good now. Like I'm all good. But I also think for Jim, he was a kid that moved around every 2 years, as I mentioned before. He also was a colonel in the military. So deployment was like this. And he told me about the time when he was married. He came back from Bosnia, and they told them as they were coming back into their regularly scheduled life, listen, you can't come in and start bossing people around again, because this person or these people have been living in this house in North America while you've been fighting or you've been doing whatever you're doing. Just know that you have to kind of slowly transition in. And he absolutely did that, because he was really worried about how much I loved my single life. Because after a while, as Maureen knows, that's going, I'm good. I like that. I can go to New York tomorrow. I can do this tomorrow. And I just didn't want to negotiate with another person again. But now I do. And it's fine. But I know how lucky I am. But I understand the anticipation, the anxiety. I'm worried about what they're thinking. And, you know, you just have to tell them the truth. And you know what the red flags are. Do not ignore those red flags. Don't. Because it's not going to end up well. Those little red flags that we've known for a long time that we've never addressed, when you meet somebody new and you hear what they're saying to you and it's a red flag, then it's a red flag. That's what it is. And so you have to really be a good listener when you meet somebody new and get some plastic surgery. No, I'm just kidding. But we're going to transition to that. I'm just kidding about that.
Yeah, we're going to transition to that. No, but it's a big deal. The decision is a big deal. And what to do and how much to do. And unlike Wendy and me, well, Wendy was on television up until, the incident. But having to deal with getting old to begin with, or getting older, is an issue. But when you're doing it on camera every day with everybody in HD, high definition, everybody checking you out, you've got to make some decisions.
Yeah, but in high def, it's better actually, because they have this machine where they can come in and they can say your nose is too wide, we'll make her nose thinner. Like, it's unbelievable. I was so terrified of high definition coming along when I was in my 40s, but it's amazing. Well, they can take, so-and-so's hair and put it on top of my head, but
Right. You know what I didn't like about the old cameras and everything, speaking of that, they put I don't know about you guys, but whenever you did television, so much makeup on your face. And I always feel that when you're a kid, you put more makeup on to look older. When you're older, you want to put less on so you can look younger.
Full disclosure. So I've, as I mentioned earlier, I've had Botox. I've had a lot of surgery, like reconstruction surgery, but I'm at the point I do stand in front of the mirror and go, well, wow, that would be amazing as I pull my little extra skin up around the jaw and so on.
The women of ill repute.
So when did you decide to leap off that building?
I did that probably in 1990 with the nose, because every time I smiled, my nose dipped. I never liked that. Felt like I was giving shade to others passing by.
So it wasn't an age thing. It was just you didn't like the shape of your nose. That's
right. And I had that done. And then, as time went on, I saw that I looked tired and I thought, well, raising kids, right? I was like, of course I'm tired. But morning shows, shift work will age you very quickly. There's no doubt about it. And then doing the morning show and then transitioning to TV and then morphing into my mid 40s, I really noticed a difference. So I had under my eyes done, I think next with a brow lift. And then, you kind of get that 40 square after a while in your torso, like things. And so I watched my weight as much as I could. I've been up and down on my weight. I'm like a yo-yo, but I did a pull in the jaw a little bit, just tighten it up. I've had my eyes done a couple of times because they were getting droopy, just the eyelids. What else have I done? I've had a tummy tuck. I've had a breast lift, not a reduction, lift.
I've had that. I had one lifted.
One of them? What about the other one?
I had one removed, and then the other one I had reduction, and yes. I just thought I'd try one.
But this is weird because people like Marilyn, people don't talk about this, like Marina and I have decided, like, what the hell, we're older, like, just throw it all out there. But it's, I remember 20 years ago, people saying, oh, well, did you see Meg Ryan or did you see even Marilyn Denis? Like somebody has, like, it was like it's shocking. And here you are just like, screw it, like I had this because I didn't like that. I think it's a much healthier world that we live in. Maybe we're exposing too many secrets, but.
Well, I do. I think so. And I talked to a long time name dropping right now. I got to talk to the Phyllis Diller back in the day.
Oh God. She was a lovely woman, like just so sweet.
And I said to her, yeah, I loved her. She said, well, I'm more attractive now than I was then. I go, well, and yet you try to make yourself look unattractive. And, with her outfits and everything. She said, I just didn't like the way I looked. I mean, it could be funny, but it can be attractive and funny. So she was so open about that. When I became open about that, oh my gosh, I was being giving, whatever. You're putting too much in your face. You're doing this. Now, I will say that, of course, I use filters on my Instagram. Come on. It's cheaper, but less invasive. And then there have been a couple of mistakes. I'll never forget. I told Jim this the other day. We're talking about when Botox was new and they were trying to find where to put it, right? And they had put it near my mouth. So my mouth, I'm like that. And so they had to shoot. I had to go on live on television. I went, and it interrupted the way I talked and my mouth. And they go, oh my gosh. And I said, well, shoot me from Ottawa because then you won't see it. I finally said one day, I said, listen, I want to tell you. I said, I did something and I blamed myself because I signed up for it. And I said, they went too far.
But it wasn't permanent. That's the nice thing about Botox. It just...
No, because that's the thing, it was not permanent. Right. And then there's fillers and all that kind of stuff. You try this and that. And I thought fillers, I don't like fillers.
I heard about fillers from someone we both know, a doctor we both know, who said filler, because I had filler under my eyes years ago and it was awful and it disappeared. And he said, you're lucky because often, and this is a renowned cosmetic surgeon, he said fillers quite often does not go away. So,
and sometimes they move too. They move.
You have a nose coming out of your chin.
I have a question since you've been so forthcoming about this. What do you think is the best bang for your buck?
First of all, before considering any cosmetic surgery, I think it's a bang for your buck to go to a dermatologist and get those little red zits around your nose and get bring down the
inflammation, the redness,
your rosacea, if you have it. And there's firming techniques that are non-invasive that you can do. You can have as much cosmetic surgery, but if your skin is not in good shape, then the results aren't going to be good. So I would go dermatologist first, see what he or she has to say. What are some of the things that you need to do? They do have payment plans. They're not dumb. They have payment plans. You're going, how much? Okay, sign me up.
You can even get like RC, like whatever they're called. I don't know if you can do this here, but in the States, you can actually buy these, like they're RRSPs, but for cosmetic surgery. I mean, you can start saving up when you're young and you can invest this and then you can pull it out tax-free. I don't know if it's happening here. And I don't even know whether it's a good reflection on our society, but.
So is it a good thing now that men are getting Botox and getting all their stuff, or did we go too far down that? Like, because I think you're beautiful. I don't know what you would be like without having all the bits and pieces done. But yeah, I can't understand why people do so much.
Kardashians haven't helped.
That's true.
I don't know. I just find it so hard to believe that you didn't think that you're beautiful. Like, you're one of the most successful people in Canada.
Lovable, popular, funny.
Yeah, and you had to eat broth for your date, which was probably because your stomach was going flip-floppy.
But maybe the most effective.
Ha! It was the most expensive broth I've ever had in my life. Here's what I want to say about that. I just want to, the nose was to change. Yes. The cosmetic surgery was to tighten and look fresher. That's all it was. I mean, I never had this. I never thought of myself as pretty, but I never thought of myself as ugly. As a friend of mine said, yeah, but you thought you were funny, and that carried you through. That's, there's something like you have to identify something. I don't know. I'm that funny either, but I wanted to look fresh and not look tired. No amount of makeup could do that. But there was pressure, as we all know, in the 90s.
Show your arms, wear the high heels. Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah. And so I got a little bit of that, but because I did a lifestyle show, it was okay for me to be a mom. And, and you'll still see this today on the show. You very rarely see me tuck in my shirt because I don't like belts and I have a little bit of a tummy and I tried everything and I just know how I feel comfortable. So.
But is it okay to get older?
Yes.
Well, this has been the topic this summer, right? And we're not going to take you down a place that is not politically right for you to be in. But now more than ever, and Wendy and I are certainly, I'm going to say victims of this too. But, our careers have been truncated for a number of reasons. And it wouldn't have happened, I think, if we were men. And what I guess I'm asking you is, do you feel pressured? Are people saying to you, well, gee, Marilyn, how much longer are you going to do this? And how do you feel about that?
The R word.
Yeah, all the time. They ask me all the time. And I always say two things. I go, well, if they don't want me anymore, they should let me know. And then, they'll let me know, hopefully in a nice way. But I also think if I'm not finding joy in it anymore, or I have the energy to do it anymore, to do it to the level I want to do it, is another answer. Another answer is, I have a husband and a grandchild now. And I get every other week, I help her mom out because her mom's a stylist. And so I pick her up after school and then we keep her till 6:30, 7 o'clock. Joy, I'm exhausted. But anyway, you never get those years back. So it's a combination of all those things. And I do want to work and I do want to have purpose. I'd love to sleep in someday soon, but I don't know when that's going to happen. So to answer your question is, I'm not sure, but right now I'm in. And then when I'm not, we'll figure that one out. I don't have an age on it. I don't have an age on that. I don't.
But you're so successful. You're one of the biggest in Toronto. And it used to be like we're 50% of the population, but we sure weren't 50% of the, the stars on radio or TV when Maureen and I and you started out. And you're thriving, like your co-host is a young man. It used to be the other way around when we started out. And it's kind of cool.
Wendy, how did I become the oldest person at CHUM? Seriously.
How the hell did that happen? happened.
I look at Jamar, I look at Azalea, I go, okay, he's 40, early 40s. She's 32. Lovely. I've got a wonderful new producer who's 12. Such a passionate guy when it comes to radio. It's like, it's amazing. And so, it was really funny because I thought about dear Roger Ashby, who I love and adore, and who was such a part of my life for so many years. And he said to me one day, one day you're going to be the oldest person in this room. I went, nah, I'll probably go the same time you go. When he was ready to go after 50 years at CHUM-AM and then CHUM-FM, I went, well, I'm not ready. I'm still, So it's a wild thing. I'm very happy to have my name on a station that I believe in. I'm so glad they didn't change the name of the station. When they changed some stations into The Bounce, Pure Country, Virgin, those are all great names and they're doing great things and they're part of my umbrella of broadcasters in this Bell world. But I'm so glad that they maintain CHUM because when I do retire, I want to retire from CHUM Radio. And I'm not going to say retire. I'm going to use a different word. The word is when I decide it's time to go, because I'll still be doing, who knows? I don't know what I'm going to do. I should really think about that. But I just know that it's been such a part of my life. I'm so glad I'll have that to say goodbye to. And it wasn't morphed into something else. People have changed. People have come and go. Some people didn't want to go and had to go. And some people decided to retire like Roger. But I'm so happy that I have that connection with a station that I believe in and that still believes in me for so long. I'm a lucky girl. So I'm going to say something to you because I want you both to know this. It is heartbreaking to me because I've had many, many good years. There's been some bad times, and especially on the TV side, just changing of the guard and everything like that. But through, when I was at City Line and to this day, there's that happens. Some good producers, some bad producers. I've got great, great teams on both sides of television and radio. I know I'm very lucky. It breaks my heart to know that some people, when I was having such a good time and still am, that they weren't enjoying their ride doing their various shows. I thought like high school, you go back to a reunion, you go, hey, it's so good to see you again. I said, I was in high school, great. I hated it. I didn't have a good high school a couple of years. I'm like, so I always thought that when we woke up in the morning that we were all experiencing terrific stuff. And it's not true.
Well, you got to be an optimist to survive, I think.
I'm not to speak on behalf of Wendy, but I know that Wendy loved being at the CBC and I loved being at CHFI. I mean, we loved our jobs. And so that made it all the more crushing when, these events removed us from the jobs that we loved.
But there are people that we know that are no longer working in the field, specifically radio, that were not having a good time, that were hurting. And it breaks my heart to know that.
But maybe that's why you're there after all of these years, because you're not faking it. You actually enjoy being with other people. And I think people can, well, you're saying that you couldn't tell you were surprised to learn these people were so unhappy. But I don't know. I think that's one of the things that makes somebody work in radio or television is that there is a joy, there is a chuckle, there is an enjoyment. So
I know what you're referring to. Well, no, I confided the Derringer years when I was at Q107. Marilyn was incredibly supportive and incredibly understanding. I still loved the job and I still had great chemistry with him. All that stuff that came out over the past summer was really hard to go back over that, but it doesn't take away from the fact that I really loved what I was doing.
And that's clarity for me because I know you both love what you do and what you did at those places. I was going to say venues, I don't know, whatever, stations.
I reached out to somebody who's also of our vintage or even older, just saying that we were really lucky because I was speaking more of television than radio, mainstream media these days. It's just like we were there when people still believed what we were saying and there wasn't 1,000 other, because now, like I must confess, I'm not a mainstream media person. I follow people that I feel are going to give me the goods, and the goods are out in 5 minutes or 5 hours earlier than they would be on places that I used to go. So I'm just really grateful that I was there sort of during a special age. It's like being born between the Second World War and whatever is coming now.
Yes, the golden age. Yeah.
No, it's so true. And I think about this building where, I'm doing this podcast with you all and at 299 Queen Street and all the events that happen here, all the big shows and the big things in the parking lot and the big, and so that changed a lot. But I think, like my son said, someone had told him that prior to lockdown, that some of the wheels were falling off a little bit, but you didn't notice them. But the pandemic pushed us 5 years in advance to where we are now. So we're like 5 years from now, right now. The changes are incredible. The landscape is incredibly different from what we're used to. Now, I think about this. I'd say, well, you're 64. Is it because you remember the good old days? No, because not all the days gone by were really that good. I had some real struggles on different things. But it's like, wow, it's so different. Like people that decided they didn't want to come back to work and they moved away.
Priorities are different, and maybe they're better. Maybe this isn't the be all and end all. And, I'm glad hey, listen, there's podcasting too. Don't let anybody tell you we're having a blast. We're just not making any money, but we're having a great time.
I know you are.
We forgot to press record, so we're going to call you again tomorrow. We'll do this every day.
Well, I like that idea because next time I do have a bottle of wine that somebody gave me today on the show. Those are the freebies I get. Next time I'll open it up and we'll toast each other. But, I love the fact that I can talk to you two because we all experienced the same time of what's happening and, of some of these events, and getting to know you later on is great because that's a sisterhood.
Well, now one of the good things of being semi-retired, because I still can't say the full word, is that I have time for friends. So and I only met Maureen like 5 years ago, really. Who knew that there was there's stars in the sky. There's like all this weird stuff.
I do have to say, it's pretty hilarious talking to the two of you. It's not the first time we've done it because you're two dear friends and you're also the two most famous people I know. And as I've said before, we can never travel together because if there's a plane crash, it'll be like Wendy Mesley and Marilyn Denis killed in plane crash with local woman.
Oh my God. Oh, I love you.
So we can't do that. But anyway, I love you both, Mary. I've loved you for years. And thank you for doing this with us again. And we may ask you again, because you know what? You're going to be doing this for a while. And I'm going to want to hear about it, what it's like when you're in your 70s.
Well, I'll see what I can do. I'll call you from the home. You know what we should do? We should get like a condo and put all broadcasters in the condo. And some of them will not make it, though. I'm telling you. Listen, it was a joy talking to both of you. And I'm so glad you're doing this. And it's such a great podcast. And good on you. That's what I have to say, because both of you you pivoted. And you pivoted large. And I can hear the joy in that this turned out to be a great thing.
We're ridiculously proud of ourselves. We made this from nothing. And, if somehow we can pay for our groceries as a result, that would be great. We're not there yet. But you know what? Having you on board certainly is going to help. So thank you for that.
Oh, my gosh. You're too much. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
Love you, Mare.
Thanks, Marilyn.
Love you back.
It's amazing. Yeah, all that work. And she looks so fresh. So it's working, whatever she's doing. She's only this big on my computer, but she looks amazing.
But she has always been forthcoming, maybe not publicly like she was today, but she's always been forthcoming about that. And yeah, and she's taken a lot of abuse, as you know, when you're on camera and everybody feels that they can tell you how they feel about your haircut or about what you're wearing or whether you've put weight on or not. And she's been subjected to that her entire life. I've had my friends say to me, "Oh, you're friends with Marilyn. She's had a lot of work done." Seriously.
I know, but I don't know when she decided to go public with it all. And maybe more recently, it sounds like, but it's like, screw off. I've decided to do this. What's the difference between doing this and, going to the gym for 2 hours a day? It's all about doing what makes you feel right about stuff. And I just find it heartbreaking that she doesn't think she's beautiful and she doesn't,
She is. I know. She doesn't even, well, they're all like that. We are all like that. The fact, actually, I don't even think I'm very funny. And she's one of the most compelling, warmest, lovely, and yes, she's funny. And she also has a fantastic sense of humor, which I think, we agree, having a great sense of humor is being able to get the joke, even more so than telling it, right?
Well, that's what I'm going with for the moment.
You always get the joke.
But I don't have a billboard. I was in Toronto recently and there's billboards everywhere. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm so happy for her and so glad that she could come on. And
Jim is a great guy, like a really great guy. And I wonder how it's going to be though, because he's an anesthetist as opposed to an esthetician. And he's teaching and she's so busy. And well, eventually they're going to sit across each other from the breakfast table and go, well, now what? But in the meantime, they're living large.
Well, then she'll go to the game with the Phillies. Then she'll go to a game. No, I think it's so great. It took me 25 or 27 years of marriage to realize, oh, okay, so we're not clones.
Don't have to do the same thing. Yeah. I would say it's even better if you don't do the same things all the time, that you do need to break apart.
Yeah, so it's good in your relationships to meet somebody or to get back with somebody at 60. You can just say, this is who I am. Okay. Yeah, great. Love you too. So it's, yeah. Anyway, it was so nice.
That's so nice. A great story. All right, on to the next.
The Women of Ill Repute with Wendy Mesley and Maureen Holloway. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or at womenofillrepute.com.
Produced and distributed by the Sound Off Media Company.